Top 5 wide receivers all time. Now, somebody jumped in. My man Tyreek Hill, he jumped in and said, "Who are you talking about, or who am I taking in their prime? Antonio Brown or Julio Jones?" I would say I'm going to take Antonio Brown. I'm a Steelers fan. I, I'm biased, but I mean, tell me something that Antonio Brown didn't do that Jones did do. That's all I'm going to say. What did Julio do that Antonio Brown couldn't do? Or not only couldn't do, that he didn't do. So, and yes, Antonio Brown turned crazy. No denying that. Became a locker room cancer and turned crazy. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But when he was on the field before all of that happened, he was that dude. For 6 years, he was that dude. So, but anyway, let's get to the list. Let's get to the list. Top 5 NFL wide receivers of all time. Here's the thing. I'm thinking everybody except lunatics will say that Jerry Rice is number 1. So let's just start there. Jerry Rice, number 1, and let's move past that. Now we got to get to the 2 through 5. And it gets tricky because a lot of people say Randy Moss. A lot of people say Terrell Owens. I'm going to say T.O. T.O. is more of a complete receiver than Randy Moss. Randy was outstanding. Randy was electric. At the deep ball, he redefined the deep ball because not only was it a deep ball, it was a deep, 50-50 ball that turned into basically an 85-15 ball when you threw it up and deep to Randy. He was coming down with it. Like, you didn't throw 50-50 balls to Randy. You threw it up there because 85% of the time, he's the guy that's coming down with it because he was that athletic. So, Parsons Brown said Jerry Rice literally just has the rings. I'm sorry, my guy. I apologize. We have to stop in the middle of this because we got crazy people over here on TikTok saying that Jerry Rice only has rings. Also, what Jerry Rice happens to have is every single receiving record other than the most yards in an NFL game. Other than that, he has every receiving record. But if we're just saying he just has rings, count every other receiving record along with that, and then we can move on. So let's just start there, and then we can move on. I apologize. I feel like when people, you all know me, I'm a fair guy, but when you say something stupid, I'm going to call you stupid. So number 2, I got T.O. Number 3, I got Randy Moss. Now, here is where it gets spicy, people. Here is where it gets spicy. I am a Larry Fitzgerald fan. I love Fitzgerald. But is he better than Megatron? That, to me, it's tough. To me, it's tough. I mean, here's the thing. The thing about Fitzgerald that makes it so tough, when a wide receiver has more tackles than drop passes in his NFL career, that's a special guy. You know what I'm saying? The guy has more tackles than drops. So, is he better than Megatron? I want to put Fitzgerald ahead of him, but I just can't do it. I can't do it. I got Fitzgerald at 5. First of all, Fitzgerald's not less than 5. So let's not stop the madness there and thinking I'm just putting him at 10 or something. No. But Megatron was just that guy. Calvin Johnson was that dude. He just was. And he could do a lot. He got hurt. Not going to say he didn't get hurt, but he could do a lot. Had great hands, fast, run, jump, catch, over the middle, deep, slant. He had the route tree. That's the one thing. If Randy Moss had the route tree, he would unquestionably be the best receiver ever. But he didn't do that. So that's the thing. That's my thing. Is Megatron over Fitzgerald. Megatron over Fitzgerald. I like Megatron. I like Fitzgerald. I want to put Fitzgerald at 4, but I won't. Megatron is it. So we got Jerry Rice, T.O., Moss, Megatron, Fitzgerald. Now, y'all start shooting me your list. Start shooting me your list. So I did see something on TikTok. My man, Redneck Patriot, where do you put Largent? Largent is in the top 10, probably around 9 to 10. But first of all, Redneck Patriot, do you know how many of these people on TikTok that don't even know who Steve Largent is? That would be the one thing. There are so many people that don't even know who Steve Largent even is. And Steve Largent was that dude. Not to mention, before Jerry Rice, guess who had all the receiving records, people? It was Steve Largent. So, Steve Largent, top 25, you're out of your mind, dude. Stop it. I love you. Lee and Daddy, come on. Steve Largent is much higher than top 25, man. And I think you know that. I think you know that. You just don't want to admit that he's up there. Why? I don't know. But Steve Largent, if you put Steve Largent at top 25, the number 25 of all-time receivers, there's no respect that goes to your list. That goes for everybody. Anybody that would put Steve Largent at 20 or less, your list is literally not respectable. Not at all. Not at all. Steve Largent is a top 10 wide receiver. Period. End of story. Period. End of story. So, Golf Hawk says Larry is second all-time in receiving as far as catches. And Calvin Johnson is 40th. I mean, he played longer, so he's going to have more. But if you watch film, Golf Hawk, who do you think was better? I mean, come on now. And I like this list from Golf Hawk. He said Jerry Rice, Fitzgerald, T.O., Randy Moss, Steve Smith. Okay. Okay. If you're putting Steve Smith in your top 5, and you do say it's a personal bias, but Larry Fitzgerald is not the second best wide receiver ever. He's not. That's not being objective. That's not being objective. Yeah, Steve Smith is not top 5. And we all love Steve Smith, too. That's the thing, is that you don't have to say that somebody is not in the top 5 and oh, well, he's terrible. No, not at all. It just means he's not a top 5 receiver. That's all. It's okay. Hell, I think Steve Smith, you know how honest Steve Smith is. Steve Smith will even tell you he wasn't a top 5 receiver all time. And you know how feisty Steve Smith is. So my man Jacob Berger says Marvin Harrison over Fitz. No. And I love Marvin Harrison, but he wasn't better than Fitz. But Marvin Harrison's another guy that belongs in the top 10 as well. He's another guy that belongs in the top 10. And where do we put Antonio Brown? Let's talk about that for a second. Does the Antonio Brown, because for 6 years, who was better than Antonio Brown? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. Who was better than Brown? I mean, is Antonio Brown in your top 10? Is he in your top 15? I think he has to be in the top 15. Top 10, maybe not. But I think he has to be in the top 15. So, my man Perk, you're right. AB is such a confusing case. Could have been a top 5, ends up top 25. I think you're right on that. Right on the money with that, Mr. Perk. Right on the money. Antonio Brown was on a trajectory to be a top 5 all-time receiver. And then he blew himself up. He literally blew himself up. Poured gasoline on himself and lit himself on fire and blew himself up. Never seen it. Well, I shouldn't say I've never seen anything like it. Actually, I don't know that I have. Not at the professional level. I mean, we've seen people blow their careers up that weren't any good. But have we ever seen, and y'all can remind me, have we ever seen in the NFL where a guy that was that good just literally incinerated his career with nonsense? Have we seen anybody do that? I don't think we have. Aaron Hernandez was never that good. So, good point, Scarface. You can't hide head injuries. Plaxico Burress was not even in the same realm as Antonio Brown. Nah. So, yeah, he's not even on the same realm. So, I got a lot of people saying CTE is a no bueno. Cam got hurt. Cam didn't blow up his career. Cam got hurt. Good list. Rice, Fitz, Moss, T.O., Julio, Hopkins. I take that back. That's not a good list. That's not a good list. So you don't have Megatron on your list and you got Fitz up there. Come on. No. No. Santonio Holmes had a chance at one time. He had a chance, but again, he became a diva. He left Pittsburgh. His career was over. How many times are we going to see that? How many? I mean, here's the thing about the Steelers franchise. First of all, how good are the Pittsburgh Steelers at drafting wide receivers? How good are they? Aren't they the best ever of any franchise of getting receivers? And then they get these guys. They get their production. They get their production out of them. And then they start turning crazy, and the Steelers like, you can go. You can go. We'll get somebody else. You can go. How many times have we seen it? Man, I don't know what they do. I don't know what the DNA is. I don't know, but they just continuously will bring in guys. Then guys start acting crazy in Pittsburgh. Yeah, no, you can go. Goodbye. So, crazy. Michael Irvin and Chris Carter being in what? The top 10? I don't know. I think Chris Carter's got a better case than Michael Irvin. I think Chris Carter's got a better case than Michael Irvin. I don't have Michael Irvin in the top 10. I'm not sure I got Michael Irvin in the top 15. Matter of fact, I don't. Doesn't mean, here's the thing. Doesn't mean he wasn't great. Doesn't mean he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame because he does. But when you're just talking top 15, I think you can get to a lot of guys before you get to Michael Irvin, can't you? I shouldn't say a lot of guys, but I think you can get to 15 before you come to Michael Irvin. So I think you can get to 15 before you get to Michael Irvin. So hold on. Somebody's calling somebody. Oh, broke. Yeah. Yeah. Some people, don't worry about it, man. People come on TikTok and they'll say anything. You know how 20-year-olds are that are living in their mother's basement. Let it go. Let it go. Tyreek Hill will be in the top 15. Or top 10, he says. Tyreek Hill will finish up in the top 10. I don't know. I mean, he's got to keep going, but I think Tyreek Hill can probably get there. So, probably. So I think Tyreek Hill can probably get there. Sorry, I got to get somebody out of TikTok that was being disrespectful to other people in here. I apologize. So, Calvin Johnson is at number 4. So, let's go over the list again. Rice 1, T.O. 2, Moss 3, Megatron 4, Fitz 5. Is Marvin Harrison 6? Is Marvin Harrison 6? Is Chris Carter 8? Steve Largent 9. Who's number 7? I don't have Julio in that. I don't have Julio in the top 10. I don't. Antonio Brown, is he 8? Is he 7? It's interesting. It's interesting. A lot of people say Fitz over Megatron. I tried to get there, but I can't. I can't. Antonio Brown is not top 3. You got to stop saying that, man. You got to stop. Because you're already saying that Steve Largent's top 25. Now you're saying that Antonio Brown is top 3. I mean, I love you, brother. I do. But you got to stop. You got to stop with the nonsense. I'm with you. So, Antonio Brown is better than Ocho Cinco. I mean, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Harrison was just flat out better than Fitz. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. I mean, and on no planet is Marvin Harrison better than Larry Fitzgerald. He's not better than him. And that, again, doesn't mean that Marvin Harrison wasn't phenomenal. But so was Larry Fitzgerald. Nobody's sleeping on A.J. Green, but we're talking about the best receivers of all time. A.J. Green doesn't qualify for that. That's the thing. So, who are some underrated wide receivers of all time? Now, that is a good conversation. That is a good conversation. Who are some of the most? Steve Smith comes to mind as being an underrated. Hines Ward, yeah. Just because Hines Ward was so complete, because, I mean, I think it's probably universally known Hines Ward was the best blocking wide receiver out there. Andre Johnson, because he played on bad teams. Yeah. Yeah. I like it. Yeah, we talked about that, Austin, about Larry Fitzgerald had more career tackles than drops. Yeah, I just think it's nuts that people somehow just don't think, because Larry Fitzgerald wasn't the fastest guy in the world, somehow they don't think he was any good. And, well, he didn't have over 1,600 yards as in a season. Well, look who his quarterback was. I mean, look who his quarterbacks were. His best quarterback was Carson Palmer or Kurt Warner. I mean, he didn't play with Peyton Manning. If he did, and they threw the ball as much, do you think he would have had more yards? Yeah, he would have. Come on now. Chris Carter being underrated? Yeah, Chris Carter and Tim Brown for sure. For sure. Perk says Hall of Fame Kurt Warner only played there. He was only a Hall of Fame Kurt Warner for a season and a half in Arizona. Let's not kid ourselves. He didn't play like 5 years great in Arizona. That's not what happened. Mike Evans is definitely underrated as far as all-time receivers. Terry McLaurin is not even in the class of any of these people that we just got mentioned. Now, maybe right now, Terry McLaurin, but as far as all-time best receivers, come on, people. We're not talking about right now. So somebody over on YouTube said Brandon Cooks. We're talking about the most over or underrated receivers of all time, not currently. Not currently. Torrey Holt. Yeah, I think so.